Welcome to today's episode of Startup with Poland. My name is Tessa McIver and I'm your host. Together we are taking a deep dive into Poland's startup scene, meeting some key movers and shakers and getting insights into what's happening in the ecosystem right now. My guest today is Walid Barsali. He is not only the founder and CEO of an increasingly successful startup, BallSquad, but has recently also been appointed president of an organisation called La French Tech Warsaw that aims to bring the Polish and French startup ecosystems closer together. Looking forward to finding out more about both. Hi Walid, wonderful to have you with us. I understand that today you're dialing in from a tech conference where you're busy networking away, so thank you for finding the time for us.
Thank you. Great to be here, despite being at the conference, trying to get some cash as usual, as any good entrepreneur, but happy to be here with you.
So first tell me in a nutshell, what is BallSquad all about?
All right, so let me make it, as descriptive as possible rather than pitching, right? So let's say, in your neighborhood, there are schools, right? And those schools have sport facilities. And so basically my job is to make those schools accessible to you and to the whole community of the neighborhood where you are living. So our job is to basically use whatever exists in terms of public facilities and provide a digitalization that enables the accessibility for all. So rather you want to access a sport field or a classroom to run, a workshop or, a basketball court to go play with your friends or your team. That's our job, digitalize and basically provide the accessibility to all.
Well, that sounds great. But what was your motivation for actually, starting this business?
It came from personal struggle. Basically, when I arrived to the CE region about a decade ago, being a former pro athlete, I was very frustrated with the accessibility to the sport infrastructures, right? Which is pretty different from what I know and I knew back in France. And what I was, surprised about, it was the public facilities were actually accessible for everyone else. So the mission behind it was very simple, was if it's accessible for everyone else, why is it so hard to access it? Why is it just basically kind of reserved for, people that are initiated to the process that you need to call and sign contracts and so on? So the whole idea was it should be accessible to all. And the only way to do it is through digitalization. So change the way that they are managed and digitize those schedules and then make them accessible for everyone else. And I think that we really are responding to the trend of sustainability and upcycling. Instead of pouring more money into developing new infrastructures, why not optimize what we already have on hands and try to make the most out of it? And so this is what BallSquad's mission is all about, right? Trying to reuse what is there available that has value and that people want, and trying to make that connection happen.
Well, I think, fantastic sentiments. I mean, certainly I think anyone living in a city can see the benefit of a solution like yours. But what has been also your experience of founding and growing a company on the Polish market?
Oh, my experience, I think like all entrepreneurs, right, is made of a lot of ups and downs. And I have a specific case is that I basically decided to tackle business to government type of sector, right? Coming from France, being named Walid, was not the easiest path I could choose. But I have to say that one thing that is exceptional in Poland is that if you are ready to fight your way through, if you are ready to actually, do whatever it takes, to take your idea and to take your business to the stage where you are, I would say, aiming at, you can do it because at the end of the day, this is a very fruitful market. A lot of things can be done here and need to be done. Fundings are coming. I was recently reading that Poland is actually about to take over the UK economy by 2030, right? And that says it all. It didn't start today. It didn't start 1 year ago. 10 years ago, it started, I would say 100 years ago with the Polish mentality, with the capacity to find solution where there is no solution. And I think that's what I learned the most, about doing business in Poland. And that was, I would say, my whole journey here. It was made of trying to understand how things were done, trying to bring my own I would say, little difference into it, and then push through the walls, right? And here we are, about, I would say, a decade later.
Well, fantastic, really fantastic. But I'm also really intrigued to find out more about La French Tech Warsaw. What's that all about?
I would say that's the continuity what I have always been doing. In entrepreneurship, I don't believe that you gain things by keeping them for yourself. I believe that things that are shared become even bigger and become even, I would say, more impactful, right? And that's the process that I learned through my entrepreneurial journey in Poland, is that, of course, not everyone is kind to you. And, you make friends and you make enemies, and that's the process. That's basically life. But most of the time, when I went one step forward, it was because someone, was kind enough to share an information with me, or it was, a collaborative process. So I would say when I arrived to a certain maturity, and I felt that I could really impact the local ecosystem and create a bridge between where I come from and where I'm from right now, right? And where I'm, I would say, doing my life and my impact. Then I decided to launch the French Tech Warsaw, which is a state labo certification, if you may, that is gathering Polish, French entrepreneurs, so people that know both markets, that are able to create that bridge for the tech ecosystems between Poland and France. So the idea is to open doors for Polish entrepreneurs and Polish companies towards the French market, and the other way around. So French entrepreneurs and French companies and startups in the tech, of course, therefore French tech, towards the Polish market. And when you look at it, it's just, once you dive in the numbers, it just makes sense, right? Between Poland and France together, we are talking about the markets that are covering over 100 million people together. It's almost 24% of the overall, inhabitants in the whole EU. So I don't know, it was just obvious to do that and to start actually creating that bridge that we were doing in an informal manner, right? Each time I have a French person coming, they are contacting me because, check with Walid, and I was giving, information. Maybe you should go here, maybe you should go that, maybe talk to that person. And I was like, okay, why not actually create a structure that makes us visible, which is, supported by the French state, which as well give us connection into the public Polish local governments, and try to do something out of that, right? Try to really create a connection that is real and that can be beneficial for everyone.
Walid, I really agree with the sentiments behind this sort of collaboration. I really believe in sharing and networks and community and sharing contacts and insights to be something that really helps everyone grow. But what would you specifically say that the French founders or the French market can learn from Polish founders, and actually vice versa? What are the specifics of both markets that they can learn from each other?
All right. Okay. So this is going to be a tricky one, because we are talking about two markets that are not at the same, I would say, maturity, historically speaking, development and so on. However, we have a market that is that is basically fueled like a rocket ship right now, which is Poland, right? For the last, I would say, 20 years. And so I wouldn't say that there is particular things that are, more developed in France or in Poland, because I believe that now we arrive to a certain level of maturity in Poland that whatever we want to do here can be done. And we don't need the infrastructure or whatnot that comes from France at that stage. But if you look at them, and you have to put a differentiation, is that France is going to be a funding hub, right? That's the money going to be there. There is private money available, and more due to the way that it was, I would say, the policies that were structured for that. For when French Tech was created 10 years ago, in 2013, it was, meant to be that kind of initiative that will push entrepreneurs, and put them up front, into the market and make them leaders of the growth. And back then, it was one unicorn in France. It was BlaBlaCar, if I remember properly, right? And 10 years later, France has actually last year closed 28 unicorns, right?
Wow.
So that's a crazy growth, right? And all that because it was a dedicated and thought through process where money had to be poured in, attractivity for investors, all that was very important. And I think that's, I would say, the main difference that you're going to find in France that you potentially not find in Poland yet, which is the private money, right? In Poland, you're going to find money, but it's going to be institutional money mostly. And then when you get private money, you're going to go towards higher tickets, right? Series E, Series B, and so on and so forth, where you're going to really start to find this private money that can take you to other places with your business. And at this stage right now, you know that once you want to develop a market, right, you need to pour a lot of fuel on those small, you know, businesses, which are pre-seed, seeds, and let them grow, right? So I would say that's the difference, and that's what could be brought from France to Poland, which is a certain structure in terms of how to, you know, structure your ecosystem and fuel it, and, you know, connect everyone, as you know, France has done with the French Tech, and expanded that initiative, you know, even beyond the borders, right? And then if you go the other side, and you're gonna say like, okay, what do we have in Poland that we don't have in France? I would say that we have the energy of the youth in Poland, right? In Poland, you know, we are able to do crazy things with nothing. That's, you know, the culture of, as I said, you know, finding the workarounds and going to execute on things that no one would think is possible because the infrastructure is not there. So I would say that the flexibility of the country, the skills that are developed here in Poland are unmatched in Europe. I haven't seen that even in France. The capacity, you know, to learn new things, to integrate them into the ecosystem, and to actually make them a convenience, right? In terms of tech, in the banking, for example, system, which is one of the most developed in the whole world, right? We're talking about the Polish banking system here. All that shows basically a certain mindset, right? So this is where I could put the comparison, right? You're going to have the old brother, you know, France, that's going to have the structure and the money. And you're going to have the younger brother, right, Poland, which actually, you know, is there to punch the wall and break those glass ceilings, right? And not going to be afraid of anything. So yeah, that's what I would say the two markets can bring to each other at this stage.
Well, I really like that analogy of the older brother and the younger brother. Walid, you know, what do you think is going to be the next steps for La French Tech Poland? You know, what are you planning to develop? And also, you know, where do you see BallSquad going in the next months and years?
Okay, two questions in one. Regarding the French Tech, we are basically, I would say, developing the Warsaw community, because the first French Tech that was created in Poland was in Krakow, and it was created in 2019. And so this French Tech still exists, and we are collaborating very closely with them. And our idea is to basically start to, as we are doing it right now, you know, integrate slowly with the local institution, French and Polish. For instance, we are currently helping the Polish delegation to go to VivaTech, which is the biggest tech conference that is happening in mid of June. That is including PFR officials, PAIR.
This is in France.
This is in France, right?
Yeah, okay. And fantastic.
So this is what we are doing here as a French Tech Warsaw. We are trying to basically truly in the next months try to create that link, right, between what we are doing, right, in terms of bringing that bridge to France and the local authority here, the institution, the startup, showing them that there is, you know, there is a market over there that you can go explore, and you shouldn't be afraid, because I know that the French market can be scary, because we said that those guys don't speak English, sorry. They do speak French though. So yeah, they don't speak English, and it can be difficult if you're not local, if you don't have the local culture. And this is the barriers that we're trying to break, to show that no, there is a way. New generations are in. People are different. You know, you can push forward, and we are creating we are setting up some events. So we're gonna partner. The 22nd of June, we'll have some workshops and panels about the collaboration in Europe, about the French Tech during the Cafe Venture Warsaw, which is the Thursday gathering. So yeah, just check out our LinkedIn and we'll talk about it. And we're gonna organize as well some events about deep tech and about green tech in Warsaw and in and in Krakow as well. So our job right now is really to create that, visibility for us and show that we are here to help, and, don't hesitate to actually trigger us, if you're looking to, or if you're interested by friends, basically, if you're in Poland and you want to go that direction. But yeah, it's the beginning. So, try to not rush it and to, do things carefully and make sure that we are actually bringing value. Yeah, and not just make noise, we know that, and I think you know that better than me, even as you deal with a lot of startups, but sometimes the noise is kind of overbearing and you forget the actual mission and value that are brought. Yeah. And so our job right now is to focus on trying to bring that added value and really show that there is things to be done without, making too much of a fuss about it, right? So that's about the French tech aspects in the next, I would say, months ahead. Regarding BallSquad, we are currently fundraising because we are basically tackling other markets. We are as well spreading our wings across the country. Right now, we are in 7 cities. Two more are onboarding. We are having prospect for 5 more, but all that needs fueling. And then, as I was explaining at the beginning, is not always the easiest part of the business, right? To get that fueling. So this is I would say, my biggest focus at this stage, making sure that we are funded properly for the next months, and next year, I would say, 12 to 18 months ahead of us. And my team is basically very much focused on onboarding the new schools, improving our tech, and making sure that we are actually just delivering added value. Because for any entrepreneur, I believe that's the base. You want to bring added value for people to be able to give you their time, attention, or money. You need to actually do something that makes sense. So that's what we are focusing on both sides, French Tech and BallSquad.
Well, Walid, I wish you so much luck with both La French Tech Warsaw and with BallSquad. I'll be certainly supporting you from the sidelines. Maybe see you at some of the events that are going to be taking place in the future. And I keep my fingers very crossed for your next funding round. Congratulations with everything you've achieved so far. And yeah, let's see where it all goes. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tessa. Always a pleasure to talk to you, to meet you, and looking forward to our next conversation. And you know that your spot is always reserved in any of the events that I'm part of, right? So don't worry, I got you covered.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye, Walid.
Bye.
And thank you for listening to us today, and see you next time on Startup with Poland.